All right, checking in here on a Saturday. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. This is the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Coming your way on today's show. Went back, rewatched the game this morning, took a look at some of the film. Going to do some winners and losers against the Green Bay Packers. Of course, yes, it is the preseason, but some notable performances that we have to talk about. For those of you who tuned into the watch party last night, an absolute blast. Thank you a lot. About 30,000 people joined us throughout the night for our pregame show, the actual game and the post-game show. So if you haven't subscribed or you're coming across this channel for the first time, make sure you do subscribe by hitting that red sub button for daily Niners news, rumors, and analysis, as well as our live shows and our watch parties. So let's dive right into it. Obviously, the biggest winner and biggest takeaway from last night was the play of quarterback Trey Lance. He had that 76-yard touchdown pass to Danny Gray on his second and final possession. That's how he ended his night, with dropping that dime to Danny Gray, who tiptoed along the sideline and pulled away from the defender en route to that 76-yard score. And everybody's talking about that Lance play as really being the indication of what he can bring to this offense. And I totally agree, right? He did something last night that Jimmy Garoppolo just didn't do much of throughout his tenure as the starter. And when the 49ers offense can get some explosive splash plays like that, this is going to be an offense that provides you with fireworks week in, week out. Now, with Garoppolo and his style of play, I think the Niners offense with Jimmy G as the starter may have been more efficient. And with Trey Lance, because he's somewhat inexperienced, he's going to miss some layups. The offense might be more inefficient. But there's no question that because of his dual threat ability and his arm strength, that I think the offense in 2022 has the potential to be more explosive and more dangerous. The receipts are there. I've been saying it all off season. That's the type of special ability that Trey Lance brings to this offense. And we saw last night on that 3rd and long when he dropped that dime to Danny Gray. But there were a couple of plays that really stood out to me. And let's go through them. I went back and watched the tape. The quarterback boot, in which he rolled out to his right and threw it to Ray McCloud for a gain of about 8 or 9. That's the type of layup throw that Lance has to complete consistently. And he threw on the run, looked comfortable in doing so, and was able to hit Ray McCloud with an accurate pass. So that was a good sign right there. My favorite play of the night, even considering the touchdown throw to Danny Gray, was on the first possession. It's a 2nd and 8. Trey Lance's first drive. He takes a 7-step drop from under center. Him being under center is something that he was very comfortable with at North Dakota State. He continues to look comfortable, but he takes that 7-step drop. He senses pressure around him because the Packers' defensive line was able to generate some pressure last night. But since that pressure, he stepped up in the pocket. What I loved about that play, and I said it right away when I saw it, his eyes stayed up, his head stayed up, as he climbed the pocket looking to make a throw downfield. But from the all-22, all the wide receivers were covered. So then he realized, okay, there's nowhere to go with the football. Last resort, I'm going to look to run, and he did. Then he slid because we don't want him taking any unnecessary hits throughout the preseason or the regular season, because this guy has to stay upright and healthy so that he can continue to develop. And that's one of the big concerns with Zach Wilson's injury. If he's out for an extended period of time, it could be 2 to 4 weeks, maybe even longer. It just kind of curbs his development. So Lance has to stay on the field. I like the heady play to take a slide right there. But the pocket feel, the pocket mobility is something that I saw in spurts last year. We saw it last night against the Green Bay Packers, and he can continue to build on this foundation. Really like what I saw from Lance on just a couple of plays in that small sample size against the Packers. So what do you think about how he played? I know still in the comment section from our post-game show, people are like, I don't like how Trey Lance played. Again, it goes down to people just not liking the draft selection and not seeing the raw special ability that this cat has. Yes, he missed that 3rd down throw to Danny Gray. It's a little bit out wide on that first possession. But the good of Lance, he's able to forget about that, recycle it, flush it, come back on the next possession, and complete that beautiful ball to Gray. So grade his performance for me and what you think of the evaluation, A, B, C, D, or F right now in the comment section. Already talked about Danny Gray, but he too is a winner from this game against the Packers because he displayed the vertical element that he can provide this offense, the speed that he has, and we saw what we've seen spurts of from the practice field translate onto the game field. And on my things to watch for in the lead up to this matchup, I had said for Danny Gray, he's done it sometimes in practice. Can it translate to the game field against some backup cornerbacks that he should have their number? And it did. The breakaway speed, the 4.3 40-yard dash speed that he clocked at the NFL Combine, and just the explosiveness that he possesses. A couple of other throws and targets when balls came his way. I thought he looked comfortable out there. And that vertical threat, that long ball threat that take the top off of the defense is something that this Niners offense has lacked over the last couple of years, kind of going back to Emmanuel Sanders. Now, I don't think he's going to be an every down wide receiver to start, but in certain moments, if he's able to build up that continuity and relationship with Lance, and he can add that dimension to this offense with Brandon Ayuk as well as Deebo Samuel, that's something that could really aid Trey Lance to give him looks vertically, which then opens up some things underneath. So good game last night from Danny Gray and a positive step forward for him. A couple more rookies that we have to talk about. And the overarching storyline of this game is how the rookies performed, which is really important for this franchise moving forward with big contracts already paid to, guys like Fred Warner, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel, and then Nick Bosa expected to get paid as well. But Samuel Womack, the rookie cornerback out of Toledo, with 2 interceptions last night. The first I thought was the most impressive because really good technique there where he had to battle with his hands to wrestle the football away. And it was just a gritty play that you oftentimes see veterans make. And Samuel Womack made it as a rookie in his first professional game. And then later on, good anticipation on the other pick of Jordan Love. And for Womack, why I liked the pick at the time, he played in 53 games at Toledo. He had 45 pass breakups in those 53 games. And sometimes you can't teach those instincts. You can't teach the ability to break on the ball or read the quarterback's eyes. That's a special innate ability that Samuel Womack possesses. As for Drake Jackson, went back and rewatched the game. He was really active. And the athleticism certainly popped for me on the game film. And he lined up at left edge as well as right edge. And his bend coming around the corner against some of these tackles was really impressive. Like, this guy can be a freaky athlete and is a freaky athlete. And you put him in this defensive scheme playing on the other side of Nick Bosa with the best defensive line coach in the NFL with Chris Kocurek, they can bring out the best in Drake Jackson. There was one play that really stood out to me, and I said this at the time during the watch party as I was doing the play-by-play. Drake Jackson lined up on the left edge. He comes around with some really good bend and is able to maintain his balance. But then Jordan Love tried to hit him with the pump fake to come in to make a throw, and Jackson was able to hold his ground and then swipe at Jordan Love's arm to nearly cause another interception as Ambry Thomas nearly came down with it. It just fell to the ground before he could get to it. But that ability and that potential from Drake Jackson is something that really stood out to me in his first professional game. Same can be said for Brock Purdy. Looked pretty athletic on some of those passes in which he had to get out of the pocket. That's when he threw that touchdown pass on the near corner pylon where he escaped to the right and was able to throw a nice little dart. And then the 2-point conversion throw, that's a big boy throw. You have to throw it high. You have to allow the wide receiver to high point the football. He put it in a spot where Johnson was able to get it. And that capped off an 11-play, 69-yard drive for the Niners to take the lead. Now, yes, it's the preseason, right? But what you try to do in these preseason games is practice certain situations so that when you get 2 games, you're able to execute somewhat flawlessly. And preseason games are the perfect ground to experiment with a lot of things and work on 2-minute drills before the half to try to get down the field to get a field goal, like the Niners tried to do before Ray McCloud coughed it up. And then for Brock Purdy, hey, lead us down the field, run a little no huddle. Let's see what you can do in a hurry up situation. And I thought he really excelled for pick Mr. Relevant, last pick in the NFL draft. So Brock Purdy looks to be a decent backup quarterback, or at least his first game showed me that you can mold him into being a pretty good backup for this team moving forward, with Jimmy Garoppolo obviously not expected to be here. So those are the rookies that really stood out. Which rookie impressed you the most? Give me that name in the comment section right now. Couple of quick ones. Aaron Banks, 15 snaps last night, no pressures. That's important for him as he looks to lock down that left guard spot. He hasn't had much competition throughout training camp. He too a winner. And then Ray McCloud. He caught that 39-yard pass from Nate Sudfeld that went for a long score on the deep ball. He too. Another player like Danny Gray who can add this element to the offense to make the Niners a little bit more explosive, because when they're on the field, McCloud and Danny Gray, the defense has to account for these guys. And in turn, it helps everybody else out. Running lanes on your run scheme, but also letting Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk get some breathing room underneath, as well as guys like Jawan Jennings. And McCloud, his entire career, he's kind of been pinpointed as just a gadget guy. He looks to be a little bit more than a gadget guy. And throughout practice, he's made about a play a day that really wows you. So those are our winners. Who is the biggest winner from last night? Let me know once again in the comment section while you're down there. Hit that sub button if you like what you're seeing today and you don't know about the Niners report up until today. Losers, Tarvarius Moore. He's coming off the torn Achilles, I understand it. He looked a little bit slow, but he was completely cooked and burned on that one long touchdown pass from Jordan Love. And he's competing with Talanoa Hufanga for the starting safety spot, strong safety, opposite of Jimmy Ward. And that's been a competition going back between those two individuals throughout training camp. I thought Moore had a poor showing. Not only that play, but a couple of other instances in which he just looked slow to react. Now, could that be because he just missed an entire season after that torn Achilles and he's not trusting his body? Maybe. He's had a decent camp up to this point, but has to be a little bit better in training camp and the preseason to lock down that starting safety role. Now, could he be a backup? Potentially, but he's competing for a starting safety spot, and that's why I have him deemed as a loser. You just have to play your best football, and you can't get burnt like he did. And there were a couple of plays in which Jordan Love against this entire secondary had guys open, but he wasn't able to complete the passes. So a little bit of a question mark there, even though the Niners didn't play a lot of their top defensive backs. Justin Skule, also a loser. Playing right tackle, once Mike McGlinchey came out, McGlinchey only played one series, and there was one instance in which Trey Lance on his second possession got sacked because Justin Skule just got completely faked out. The edge rusher faked upfield, went inside, and Skule was so slow to react, and the guy just went right by him. And you can't allow Trey Lance to get hit often throughout preseason games, right? Going back to the original point, you got to keep him healthy, and Justin Skule wasn't able to do that there. And the offensive line, shaky in some spots, and then other guys had pretty solid outings. Kadar Holman, the defensive back, another loser. He was flying around the field. He made a couple of big plays and big tackles, I thought. But again, there were a couple of other instances in which he got burnt. He's an NFL journeyman. I don't expect him to make this roster, but for a guy who's trying to crack a roster, you just can't get cooked in coverage like that. And then last loser, Jordan Love. Jordan Love was drafted in the first round a couple years ago. It's ironic that Aaron Rodgers wasn't happy about it, that the Packers organization didn't consult with Aaron Rodgers before making that selection. They didn't inform him that they were going to go quarterback there. A lot of expectations for Jordan Love. Has the arm talent, and at college, Utah State, he wowed a lot of people. I have not seen that wow factor in any of the games that he's played pretty much in the preseason or the regular season. So the Packers better be hoping that Aaron Rodgers, who's on a year-to-year basis right now, is going to be able to play for a couple of more years, because I don't think that Jordan Love is going to be the answer. Missed a couple of layup and easy throws last night. There were a couple of long balls, which he should have completed, where his wide receivers were open. That Dalbs kid really popped. The mid-round pick for Green Bay, as they continue to do a really good job of identifying wide receivers in the middle rounds. But Jordan Love didn't do anything to tell me, in a lot of action last night, that he can be a future starter in this league and a very good starter. In fact, I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league. The yards per attempt, the yards per completion, the overall eye test and play, not impressive. Now, he was going up against a Niners defensive line that you can say could have been winners. I thought they were good on some short yardage situations, just stopping some of those run plays on 3rd and short, 4th and short. Going into the game, I had said, keep an eye out for this defensive line that could be one of the deepest and best in the NFL. And last night, I thought a couple of guys really did play well. So who's your biggest loser? That's my last question for you. Get the comment section flowing. I do appreciate all of your feedback and all of your football knowledge in the comment section. That's why we ask for your responses. So I'll go back and interact with as many people as I can. Appreciate all of you for tuning into the show. Continue to keep it locked for more coverage like this, and we'll catch you next time on the 49ers Report. A lot of exciting things to talk about moving ahead with this football team.